Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Napoleon and we're back with another Enlisted episode. Today we'll be doing the guide and history of the Fallschirmjägergewehr, or Fallschirmjägergewehr 42, also known as the FG-42. We're going to cover the history of the weapon, and I'll be doing some tips and tricks of the weapon. And let's get started with the video. Before we start with the FG-42, we do have to cover the history of the FG-42. At the time of the Battle of Crete or Operation Mercury, for those who are interested in operations, German Fallschirmjäger or parachute troops were equipped with the same assortment of small arms as the infantry, those being the 9x19mm parabellum pistols, hand grenades, and some machine guns which also are 9mm. They are also equipped with Mauser rifles and yeah, all these wonderful assortment of rifles that made sense, but all these weapons, the heavier ones at least, have to be carried in containers essentially, and once the paratroopers drop, they have to open the containers and get their weapons. Obviously, as you can tell, this didn't work really well, especially at Crete, in which the German paratroopers at some cases were literally shot out of the sky. At Crete, these long-range rifles were literally dug up by Commonwealth forces and therefore inflicted heavy casualties on the outnumbered and outgunned German paratroops. Therefore, in 1941, the German Air Force, the Luftwaffe, requested a self-selecting handheld weapon for paratroopers. The Senior Staff Air Secretary Ostenbach of the Luftwaffe's Weapons Development Branch was approached informally to develop a new special weapon. The Reichsair Ministry, or RLM, sought to develop a universal shouldered-fire automatic rifle that could be replacing the bolt-action submachine guns and light machine guns in the air assault role. Therefore, this purpose weapon would be simplify logistics and provide better and greater firepower to the individual paratrooper. The RLM, the Reich Air Ministry, attempted to initiate a performal weapon development program throughout the Army Ordnance Department, responsible for German small arms development, but conflicting priorities and the friction with the Army, the Heer, made the idea practically unrealistic, with the Heer developing the Army, of course, developing the Gewehr 41 instead of what the Luftwaffe really wanted. Plans were then laid out by the Luftwaffe at a coastal testing site to create their own weapon, but due to the high number of casualties, Hitler changed his mind of making any parachute operations in the future. What this meant was that although this program of a new rifle was planned, it was almost halted to a stop, and then Reichsmarshal Hermann Göring came out and says, okay, we're just going to do it, but privately. The RLM went to the German industry with plans, the so-called LC6 specification, which was issued on December 14th, 1941. It meant it could not exceed the weapon that they had in mind, could not exceed 1,000 millimeters in length, should have been not be significantly heavier than the Kar 98 bolt-action rifle, and should be able to fire single shots or from a closed bolt. Provided fully automatic fire from open bolt, fed detached 10 to 20 round magazines, or able to mount a bayonet or fire rifle grenades. Despite the introduction of the 7.92 33mm Guts cartridge, the Heer developed the MP-43 assault rifle. The Luftwaffe favored the long-range potential of the 7.92 Mauser, which has its advantages. After these experiments were proposed and then dropped, multiple experiments all across the board came, and the Air Force finally decided to develop the LC-6-3 prototype, which was later known as the Fallschirmjäger 42, or Fallschirmjägergewehr 42. The FG-42 had a selective fire cooling weapon, and it was the one the first to incorporate straight line recoil. This layout, combined with the side magazine, placed both the center of gravity and the position of the shoulder stock in line with the longitude of the axle of the barrel, meaning increased controllability when firing a weapon. This system also used pressurized extreme gases from the bore and channeled them throughout a port drilled in the barrel in the gas cylinder located under the barrel. The rapid buildup of propellant gas departed pressure on the long stroke piston, driving backwards, while extension of the bolt carrier interacted with the helix scamming slot mechanized in the bolt carrier, converting this linear movement into a angular velocity and forcing the bolt into a rotary motion, causing the lock nuts and unlocking the end of the bolt carrier's travel. What this means in human terms is that most when the gun is fired, essentially what will happen is the recoil will hit back and the gun will not go up, if that makes sense, which obviously isn't really that prevalent in Enlisted. The iron sights has a 530mm sight radius, consisted of a point open frontal sight and a rear sight. This was implemented because the Luftwaffe, since these guys would be jumping off from a plane, these weapons might get damaged, and therefore one sight, any sight is better than, well, two sights are better than one. That was the logic. The 7.92 Mauser cartridges have a range from 100 to 1,200 meters, approximately 109 to 1,312 yards, in 10 meters, 109 yards increments. On later models, the pulse sight of the hood was reduced glare under unfavorable light conditions and added to protection of the post. The top receiver of the FG-42 was specially machined into a long type base that designed to accept telescopic sight mounts, meaning that it could actually mount sniper sights. The sniper mount sights include locking levers that allow to quickly installation and removing of the telescopic sights depending on the specific combat scenario, meaning that it can be removed and then put back on. These telescopic sights on the FG-42 were the ZFG-42 and the ZF-4. With that said, we still have a lot more to cover. The rifle had a 10 to 20 round magazine and had a 5 round stripper clip from an empty magazine in the gun. The empty weight of the 10mm, 3.9 inches long, 100 round magazine, 10 round magazine, and 185 kilograms and 150 millimeters. The weapon first saw operation deployment against the Grasnosano raid in September of 1943, when German paratroopers and Luftwaffe commandos rescued Italian dictator Benito Mussolini from his captors. His captors included 200 well-equipped Carabinieri guards. This operation, unfortunately for the service and the active role of the FG-42, did not fire a single shot. Historically, there were never enough FG-42s to arm most of the Fallschirmjäger as originally intended. However, most of them, the FG-42s, were deployed on the Western Front following the events of D-Day, with the particular use of the FG-42 at the Battle of Kärnten and the Falsten Pocket. Nearly a quarter of all of the FG-42s were in the hands of the 2nd Parachute Division. That is enough. I think I gave you way too much information, and let's get on to the weapon specifications and characteristics. With the FG-42, we have essentially 2 or 3 FG-42s, one of which is essentially another version of the FG-42-2. And we already have 2 versions of the FG-42, which is the FG-42-2 and the FG-42. Let's start with the normal version of the FG-42. This elite light machine gun, yes, you heard that correctly in the description of the weapon, produces a light limited number for German airborne troops. The caliber of the weapon is 7.92, hit power of 12, damage over distance is 12 hit power at 10 meters, 9.8 power at 100 meters, 8 hit power 200 meters, 6.6 hit power 300 meters, 5.4 hit power at 400 meters, 1.4 hit power at 1000 meters, 0.7 hit power at 1500 meters, muzzle velocity of 750 meters per second, rate of fire of 680 to 750 shots per minute, recoil time of 2.6, vertical recoil 47, horizontal recoil 20, Fed system of 20 round magazine, weight of 5 kilograms, and cartridge mass of 26.2 grams. Most of that stuff is going to be remaining the same, with the exception of the rate of fire. The firing modes, most importantly, in this one are semi-automatic and fully automatic. The FG-42, that was, well, probably the best part of that FG-42 is that it's only the 3-star version of the regular FG-42. Next we have the 6-star maxed version of the FG-42. This German light machine gun has 14.4 hit power 100 meters, 14.4 hit power at 10 meters, 11.8 hit power 100 meters, 9.6 hit power 200 meters, 7.9 hit power 300 meters, 6.5 hit power 400 meters, 1.7 hit power 1000 meters, 0.9 hit power 1500 meters. It has a muzzle velocity of the same that we saw above. Rate of fire this time has increased from 680 to 750 rounds per minute to 750 to 830 rounds per minute. So this thing is even going to be even faster. The vertical recoil has been decreased from 47 to 40, and then the horizontal recoil from 20 to 17. So this thing has just become even more recoil. even more, well, not recoil, but like it has even less recoil. But guess what? There's more. The FG42-2 version has even less recoil. This thing has the exact same hit stats of the FG42, the regular FG42, but this time it has less recoil, at least for this 3-star version. It has 40 recoil and horizontal recoil of 10, and guess what? If you get the 6-star version, which by the way I have to admit I'm starting to get some, and I say some because, well, these things are extremely expensive for bronze orders. You're gonna get an increase of rate of fire to 750 to 830, and vertical recoil 34 to 8. Now, as we go on, I'll talk about why that is so important, but as of right now, we still have the last version, which is basically the FG42-2 with a scope. Nothing special there, and let's just get on to the recap session, which I will just be ranting about how good the FG42-2 is, and FG42 is so good. Well, I'll see you there. Now, the FG42 is one of the most overpowered, amazing guns in game. It is truly awesome, and for those people who don't know me enough, I usually don't say awesome for a lot of things. As my middle school teacher would say, hamburgers are not awesome. Regular things are not awesome. But the FG42 and the FG42-2 are definitely awesome, if not overpowered. The FG42-2 version with 6 stars is more than enough to just mow down entire squads. The FG42 without 6 stars, at 3 stars, 4 stars, 5 stars, you name it, literally can do the exact same thing with just a little bit more recoil. And this thing is essentially like, I don't know if it's like a version of the light machine gun, which in the definition it is, but at this point, what makes it so powerful is that the hit power is extremely insane, but at the same time, you can literally use this like a machine gun and a light machine gun and an assault rifle all at the same time. That is the most terrifying part. The only downside is the 20-round magazine, which, come on, let's be honest. If you give this thing 50-round magazine, not only will that be historically inaccurate, that will also make the game really, really bonkers. And yeah, the FG42 is just where it is. It's just good at where it is. Some tips for using the FG42: you're basically limited to give your guys essentially large ammo packs. If you don't do that, your gun is gonna run out of ammunition. During the entire battle with the FG42, I kid you not, I had to just be running around building ammo boxes for not me myself, but my entire team, who were also using FG42s. And the problem without a large ammo box or a large ammo pouch is going to exacerbate when you only have 20 rounds. You have to be building ammo boxes and carrying a large ammo pouch. This way you can essentially hold off for a finite amount of time using the FG42. Also, honestly, I don't know about you guys, but I honestly would rather use full automatic. I personally use full automatic, if you haven't realized by now. This thing on full automatic is truly 100% insane. Like, it can mow down entire squads if they're walking in a straight line. That's just gonna kill all of them in a few seconds. But I don't use full auto. I don't use semi-auto, and the reason is because sometimes the enemy has vitality, and there have been times in which I walked into a room, I fired FG42 at the person, I move on to the next target, but the person who I shot at didn't die. So I'm moving on to the next target, but this guy comes up and shoots me. So yeah, guys, we have to be careful. Therefore, I always use fully automatic. 2 or 3 rounds in the target, at least the person's dead, alright? I wasted some ammunition, but hey, at least the target is dead, and that is essentially security that person will not rise up. So that's pretty good. Another reason why this thing is also useful is that, well, that's the reason the FG42 is amazing. Then we have the FG42 too, and this thing literally will have no recoil if you know what you're doing. And what you must be doing with the FG42 and the FG42-2 is that you literally have to give all your dudes minus 40% recoil reduction. If you do not do that, this FG42 is actually kind of hard to play, I admit. But you still have to get used to the recoil, yada yada yada. With the minus 40% recoil, the FG42-2 and the FG42 are going to be acting like ray guns. They're going to be essentially faster than any machine gun, a submachine gun, and more terrifying than any machine gun, then you're gonna find the PPSH is gonna be like a joke, essentially. But the FG-42-2 is even more terrifying in the sense that the vertical recoil is 34 if you get 6 stars, and also at 40 if you get the regular 3 stars. That is more than enough to mow down entire squads, have no recoil, and still walk away. Not to mention the fact that the FG-42-2, especially for me, has the better sights. I really like using the sights. I like it more than the regular FG-42-2. Sorry, I like it better than the regular FG-42, and because in Normandy you can use it like a sniper rifle. I've seen people do extremely well with a mounted scope. Obviously, when you're sniping, you can either use it fully automatic or not use it fully automatic, if that makes sense. But honestly, it just comes down to personal preference. I have seen people use a fully automatic scope FG-42 at 200 meters, 200, 300, 400, even 500 meters. It just really amazes me to see the fact that those shots are still able to connect to the target, and this guy's still getting a bunch of kills. He's essential. Some of these people I've seen literally have been mowing squads at half a mile, well, half a map away, and they're still getting away with it. Like, seriously, this thing is overpowered. And with the scope, that's just gonna make the thing even more overpowered. Yeah, there's nothing much I can say about the FG-42 or the FG-42-2. These guns are overpowered. You just need an ammo for it. You just need an ammo box for it, and you should be fine. Honestly, the only downside, actually no, this is not even a downside of the weapon. The only downside of the weapon of the FG-42 and the FG-42-2 is probably upgrading the weapon and buying the weapon. Like, that's probably the only downside I can think of. Sometimes the FG-42, the scope can give you a few misses, but if you're using the FG-42 like me and close quarters combat, that's not going to be a problem. Oh yes, the biggest problem by far the FG-42, if you know what you're doing, it's for me, it's just getting used to it. The FG-42, you literally have to watch out your ammunition, that's it. Just watch out your ammunition. It has only 20 rounds, but those 20 rounds can drop anything that you come across, especially if you're using fully automatic FG-42s. Like, holy cow, this thing is squad mowing down. But yeah, there's not a lot of problems. There's a lot of benefits for using the FG-42 too. And yeah, that's it. That's it for the FG-42 too. There's nothing else I can say. Have a great day, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Now, before you leave, I would like to thank you very much for watching this video. I will be honored if you could like and subscribe to the channel. Remember, more videos are coming out, so it is a good idea to click on that notification button. Anyways, have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.